What's going on, everyone? It's Garrett, and right now I'm going to bring you guys a video talking about Mascot branding and portfolio presentations. So this is not going to be a Mascot tutorial. I will talk about that later on in the video about, ones to watch if you guys are getting into mascots. But this is going to be basically like branding them in your portfolio, making the presentation look really nice and making you look a lot more professional. So portfolio wise, I'm going to be focusing on Behance. If you guys do not have a Behance, it's run by Adobe. It's a really good portfolio website. It's probably one of the most I recommend if you don't make your own website, of course. So in today's tutorial, all you guys are going to need is Photoshop. If you guys need a mascot logo, you guys can go on Google and find one. You guys can use your favorite Call of Duty team or CSGO team. And basically just some creativity. We're going to use no things throughout a pack. You're going to need no stocks. Everything's going to be basically made through Photoshop. We are going to go on Google and look at mockups that we can use in, little advertisements inside the presentation, but it's nothing too crazy, and I'll show you guys later on. So I'm going to show you guys a few examples first of what, I'm talking about with these brand identities and these presentations. Right here's one I did for Opulent Esports. Basically just showing off the logo, basically how it's constructed, and then of course, having it on a few things. And there's a bunch of ways to do this. A lot of people like doing them different ways. I'm mostly a fan of doing them on a horizontal basis. Some people like doing oblique or like vertical. It's basically whatever works for you. I have a bunch of them on my portfolio websites. You guys can just go click on my Behance in the description below, and you guys can basically use these as inspiration and follow along with this tutorial. But if you guys want to do this without a mascot logo, it's totally easy. I have one right here for an exhibition logo that I did. Same thing. I just did a lot more text. It's a lot more kind of constructed down so things look a lot cleaner. And you guys can scroll through this and basically see what I've done. I've also included real life images instead of using fake mockups that this has been used in real life situations. So now onto the important part is mascots. If you have one, if you don't. I recommend going on CISO's channel. He has creating a mascot logo design in 3 shapes. This is for the beginner. It's very helpful if you guys are really, started getting into mascots and really need help understanding it. If you're a little bit more artistic and, you need a bigger push into, developing the skills, lighting and shadows and stuff like that, even if you just YouTube up mascot logo tutorial, you guys can watch another one of CISO's. Derek has really good tutorials. He's a very good mascot designer in the community, and then you guys can just scroll down. Evan Eckert has maybe some of them. You guys can watch basically anything that you want. There's endless amounts of them, so definitely I recommend just sitting down and watching one of these and just relaxing, understanding how everything works, and then going on from there. So let's get right into this. So for Behance, there's going to be a few guidelines that we need to follow. The first things first is I like making it on one huge image. Now that's my preference. You guys don't have to do that. The reason I do this is because it looks a lot easier versus if I do logos, I can click on them individually. Now this looks better if I'm doing logo designs, but for a whole branding presentation, it's easier just to create one big image. Now when you're uploading this onto Behance, a few things to follow is, especially, let's just say we go back to my logos. If you click on it, you can see that it brings up to a different screen. And then if I go to edit project, I can also enlarge it. So right here, you're going to see give the image some breathing room and add padding to the sides. Now this is basically like a little thing to enlarge it. The reason that I can do this is because the document is above 1400 pixels. So that's just something to keep in mind. So let's just hop into Photoshop right now, and we're going to create something with a width of, let's just say 1500, and then height we can always mess with. I'm just going to put 800, and then we're going to size it down basically from there. You guys are always want to use this crop tool. It's going to be really helpful. So I can just basically size this. I'm going to go to image and then canvas size, and then go to pixels, and I'm just going to make this 500 so I can round it off to a height. So we're going to want to grab your notepad, and then you're going to want to put just this 500 pixels, which is going to be the height. And you're going to always want to remember that because you're going to keep duplicating that same amount, and it's really helpful when you guys get into like huge styles. So I'm going to make this just straight up black, and I'm going to be using my Magic branding logo. If you guys don't know about Magic branding, it's my my agency that I'm going through. Really good, really awesome people in there. So you guys can use any mascot logo you want. Like I said, I'm going to use my Magic branding logo just because it's my agency and it's a lot easier for me to work with because I know how it looks. So just drag it in, and we're going to center this. And now this is going to be basically our seller, and this is going to be what everyone wants to see when they first click onto it. You guys can mess with the size as much as you want. I think, you know, this is perfectly fine. And what I mean by the seller is when you click on something, you want the logo to be right up in top. You know, you want it to be the first thing someone sees. You don't want it to be, you know, halfway down the board. You know, it's always the first thing that someone's eye is going to be drawn to, especially in other things. Even if you go on Apple, your first thing you're going to see is probably, you know, iPhone 7. That's because they want you to buy it. Then it's going to go to the iPad Pro, and then probably like a MacBook or something like that, Apple Watch. So it's always the first thing, and then you get the more less boring things in the bottom, you know, the rock and Siri, you know, buy a thing, summer formal, and then of course the little bars down here. But this is always the most important. It's always on the top. So we're going to always want to put the logo, you know, straight forward. So all we're going to have to do is put that there. We're going to just drag the logo back in, and we're going to make it a little bit bigger, and you're going to put it just straight up in the middle. And then all you have to do is maybe zoom out a little bit, go to transform, perspective. You can add a little bit of perspective on it just to kind of create something a little bit different. Now, I like doing this a certain way. You guys do not have to follow the way that I like doing things. I'm going to make it black and white. I'm going to make a new layer under that, and I'm going to grab just two colors. I'm going to grab the highlight tone and then a dark tone. And if you guys want more in-depth, you know, instructions on how to do this, I actually have a tutorial explaining on how everything works like this, and, you know, my tips and tricks, I guess you can call it, of what I like to do. So I'm just basically messing around with blurs. I'm messing around with how things are gonna look. Now, if you enlarge something and it's going to kind of create this kind of dark rigidness around things, that's going to be just what's gonna happen. You know, if you're not using a big enough file, it's gonna make everything distorted. So definitely, if you want to make something like this, blur the image out, and then you can just take your eraser once you put it on a low enough opacity. I like to click behind the logo a few times, click around just the image, just say right here. And like I said, it doesn't have to be anything crazy. This is just the top image. You know, you can have more crazy things in the following parts. So this is going to be what we're going to come into first. This is the most important. This is just a logo. This is basically, you know, what's up. You know, I made this. This is how I want to present my stuff. Now, what we want to do next is we want to just group these together. And you want to group them, and then we can either do one of two things. If you're completely satisfied with this, all you have to do is hit Control E, and then you're just going to take this, and then you're going to hit Control J. You're just going to basically highlight it all, hit Control J, and then delete that background layer, and then label this first. Now, the reason we're going to label this first is because we're going to have more than one thing coming below this. And now the second part that we're going to do is basically what we want to, you know, how we want to put it. We can either put these two images right here, or like I did with the vicious hunger, you guys can put like a cool eye image. So going back to the canvas, we're going to go to pixels, of course, and then we're going to put this to, let's just say, 550. And then we're going to move our first up. And if that's enough, then perfect. If not, then we can go back to canvas. And we're going to put this to, let's just say, you know, 530. Actually, wait. We can do this a different way. We can just bring this up. Now, I personally like to keep it even numbers, so 550 is going to work perfectly for me. You guys can, you know, mess around with that, of course, but I'm going to work with solid numbers that I can do in my head, just because things are going to get a little hectic later on. So I'm going to make this black under the first layer, and then we're just going to grab the logo once again. And now you can put it up here. You can just basically highlight it on here. And what I'm going to do is just make this the same size. I'm going to make it really big. I'm going to use like his eyes and his grin. You can see part of his paintbrush, or maybe I'll use a mustache, or just something that I can basically generate with this. And then of course, if I have to, I can go to blur and then use a little bit of blur. Now, if you want to avoid using blur, you guys are going to need to use the AI of the logo, and basically the AI is going to make everything a lot bigger. I would recommend using, you know, full bodies and stuff like that. So, excuse me. If I open some things in AI, it's going to make it grayscale if I don't change it. Alright, so I can just take this, and this is a lot bigger, so Now you can have his hat, you can see like his eyes and stuff like that. And this is what we want. This is how we're going to want to separate it. Now, it doesn't really flow well with this, but we can roll with it. Another tip you can do is add a layer on top of that and grab, let's just say, a darker tone. Take your brush on a hardness of 0 and just basically go on the bottom like that and lower the opacity. Alright. So we're making progress. Now we know that our pixels are on 550, so we're just going to put 550 pixels on this notepad, and this is just to keep track. The next thing that we want to do is showcase more of the logo. So we're going to go back to your canvas size, and then you're going to go to pixels, and then we're going to go to 1050, and basically that's just make it another 500. And then we're going to take, you know, basically everything that we have so far and move it to the top. And then we're going to take your first, we're going to duplicate it, bring it down, and then we're going to do this. Now, sometimes I don't like working with every size like that, so I'm actually going to shrink this just a little bit. And then I'll do the sizes in my calculator if I have to. Of course, make this black. We can we know this is the first, this is the second one. We can just hit Control G and then hit Control E and label the second. So this is the black layer. This will be our third. So with the third layer, what I like to do a lot is either brand it with something or do an outline. I gotta find out. I use it in this one. I use the outline like this, and I've actually seen cool ways to do this. So I'm just gonna showcase just another way I can do it. All you really want to do is go to your hard drive and open up the exact logo that you're using on Illustrator. And the reason behind this is we're gonna have to make an outline of it. It's kind of a little bit painful. If you don't watch any tutorials, you're not going to understand basically this. So you're going to make a new layer, or a new document, excuse me, of like 1920 by 1080. It doesn't really matter too much. And you're going to need to unlock all your layers if they're locked for some reason, and drag it in. And then you're going to have all these extra layers. You're going to need to go to Window, Pathfinder, and then you can merge it all together. And you can either do it this way, which will make it a little bit easier. What you can do is you're gonna pretty much take all the color off, and then right here you take the color, you're gonna hit the little red line, and then you're gonna put the stroke up. And let's just say we're gonna put the stroke to like, I like to keep it, you know, something like 2, 3, 4, nothing, you know, insane, just because it looks a little bit better like this. And then you're gonna go to File, Save As, and just save it to the desktop because you guys can basically delete this right after. So I'm going to use Magic Branding Outline, and then it's going to save. You guys can basically close Illustrator right after that. You don't have to use it anymore. And then you're going to go to File, Open, and then you're going to have to find it on your desktop of what you saved it as. Mine's Magic Branding Outline. Bam. So now that we have that, we're just going to drag it in, and we're just going to put it basically right inside the template. And we're gonna need to find a color to use, and I like just to center this. You guys don't have to center, you guys can use you know, other ways. In the Vicious Hunger, I did it a different way. I put them next to each other, which actually looked really clean. Of course you guys can do it however you want, just make sure that everything is centered. You know, you can put a ruler. If you hit Control T on the background layer and hit Control R, you can drag the rulers back and forth. I'm just going to do this for the tutorial's sake. You can put the ruler right there, make a box on each side. You can drag a ruler straight to the middle of that so everything's broken up into thirds, just so that things can line up a little bit better. Of course, mess with the rulers. Alright. So now we have that. We take the Magic Branding logo outline, put it right here. Now for colors, what I'm going to use on the left-hand side behind that is the probably either the darkest shade or the second darkest. So that's the darkest. That's red. It's blue. Let's just see how this looks. So I can make this basically as big as I want because I'm going to be covering it anyway. And then we're going to put that under the outline, go to blending options, color overlay since it's one image, and then you can put that to, let's just say, white. or whatever this color would be. Of course, put the opacity up. Sometimes it's not going to look good. You're going to have to mess with the colors. You can use a darker color, lighter color. Like I said, it really matters. You guys can use maybe a really bright color, and then you can always mess with the background color. Now, things are going to have to be changed over and over again. That's something that I've learned doing a lot of mascot design. But it's really fun to do. So, like I said, you're going to have to mess with everything. I'm going to put this back the way I want. Maybe I can grab this yellow. Actually, it looks a little bit too hard to read as well. Alright, let's just find a nice color. This is fine for the tutorial. Sometimes it looks better with different logos. You can use a bigger stroke as well if you have to. Alright, and then you can just duplicate this background layer, bring it to the right, and then you're going to make this a totally separate color, whether it be the yellow, it'd be the dark color, it'd even be a lighter color. So I'm going to make this more kind of friendly. I'm going to make it a lighter color, and then you're going to take just the Magic branding logo again, and you're just going to put it right in its spot. Now try to size it up the best you can with the other logo. Sometimes I like putting them on top of each other and like sizing them that way. They don't have to be perfect, but they have to be close enough that no one can see it far away and be like, oh, it's not the same color. So, alright, that's next. And basically what's coming up next is what you want to do, whether you want to put clothes or not. Like I said, now this is the type of tutorial that it goes on you. This is time to like start focusing on what you want to do. I have a bunch of clothes mockups, controllers. If you guys go to any website like Mockup World, you guys can really find anything. I have a whole video basically explaining the best mockups to get. You guys can find that in the description below. They have papers and books, foods and beverages, signs and billboards. Let's just say we use packaging. You guys can basically use it on anything you want. And this is part of the tutorial that I don't want to go through, just so you guys can have your own range of motion. I do have my basically my whole entire portfolio up here that you guys can look at for suggestions. This t-shirt mockup I actually paid for. Some of them you're gonna have to spend money on, but like I said, it's always fun to use. And just keep going through this. There's esports, cloth, and basically go through this, see what you like. Try to do different things. Don't try to copy other people. This is why I don't want to go through it, because I don't want people to have the same exact thing all too much. But we're gonna go through one of the last things that I like to do, and this is gonna be called the nice finish. So what you want to do is go basically to your canvas, and then you're gonna want to basically put another, not even a 500, you're gonna want to put almost another 1,000 pixels on top of this. And the reason behind this is I want to call it the nice finish is because it's going to be the last thing people see, and you want it to be big, in their face, and so it kind of draws their attention to it. So all you want to do is grab your AI of your logo. It doesn't have to be any certain version. And then what you want to do is just put it somewhere and somehow into your portfolio. Sorry, I'm trying to concentrate while I'm doing this, so that it's basically like, oh, this is sick, I can see a little bit more detail, I can see how clean everything is, and then you're going to be basically good. Now I like to use this just basically straight up. I don't want to edit anything like this, because at the end of it is going to be the badge. If you guys ever go through the bottom, it's going to be just to leave a like, and of course you can put a little bit of text down here. You can be like what you saw. Make sure that it's going to match the whole entire color scheme. For font choice, something that's bold, definitely. Proxima Nova might even be your best case. So we're just going to put that right there. We're going to put it at the bottom. We're not going to make it super big and super obnoxious. We're just going to put it at the bottom and be like what you saw. Leave a appreciation. Probably spelled that wrong. I can't even read it. Appreciation. It's been a little while since I've been in school. And then you can put leave appreciation, and then you're gonna put maybe your website. And then finish it off, put this at the bottom. Put this to where no one wants to just see right away. A little bit of self-branding, a little bit of something, just put it at the bottom, because what's gonna happen is everyone's gonna be, this is literally what it's gonna look like. You're gonna be this close up into it, and then you're gonna be scrolling through it, and then you're gonna see this big logo, and you're gonna be like, wow, like a lot of detail. And then of course the bottom text is just gonna pop up saying like what you saw, you know, leave an appreciation. And then when you're finally done doing everything you want to do, adding the branding, the social media, the mockups, all you want to do next is go to File, Save As, and just save it as a PNG. You don't have to save it as any special file. I'll label this like just something special like magic, and then go to Behance, create a project, and then upload files. And then all you have to do is upload the singular file, and it's basically going to do everything for you. You can hit this enlarge thing, which is really sick because it's really helpful. And then if I hit preview, this is how it's going to look. So like I said, it's really up and forward. It looks very clean when you can do it like this, and then of course you're going to have more than just this, and you're going to scroll through and it's going to see like what you saw, and then leave it like. But the last thing I do want to talk about is making things blend more, which is a big tutorial. So what I'm going to be grabbing is just my print screen, and I'm going to be highlighting these two colors, going back into this, making a new layer, and then basically grabbing this white, and then we're going to fade it. Now the reason why I'm doing this last is to show you guys that you need to start maybe blending things a little bit more, and it's going to basically hide the like what you saw part. But if we save it now and then we're going to replace it, it typically usually blends well. There's just a few things that you're gonna have to maybe do. There's a bunch of changes that you have to do. I've done it a few times that I haven't kept. Hit blend, and then scroll to the bottom, and it's gonna be a perfect transition, and it just looks really smooth. Look at that, it just looks really smooth. That like button, everyone's gonna think that it's just a constant flow. And that's basically gonna be it for this tutorial. Like I said, guys, you know, you don't have to do this exactly how I do it. There's a reason why I wanted to leave part of it out, just because I think that a lot of people go on these tutorials and they just copy it, you know, word for word and image for image, and they don't really take their creativity into it. So instead of me doing, you know, header tutorials or banner tutorials or advertisement tutorials, I want to talk about more like tips and tricks, portfolio things to do, and basically brand yourself better and more unique. Like I said, you guys can add, you know, a bunch of other things, Xbox controller, shirt mockups. You can even add social media. Like for this cranked one, I have a Twitch revamp that I did, a YouTube banner like this, color hex codes, and it's really fun to do. It's really fun to get into. And if you guys need inspiration, you can always go to the Discover tab onto Behance, click this little search and filter, and then you can just put in Mascot logo or something like that, or esports logo. And then what's going to happen is you're going to find just a bunch of different things. You guys can click on it and see how other people do it. See, this is what I'm saying, you know, just right up in your face, and to see how everything else happens. You know, this is my way I like doing things. You guys can basically follow it your own way. But that's going to be it for the tutorial. Like I said, guys, Behance is crazy good for this. I recommend using it for doing Mascot logos. Like I said, different websites are for different things, whether it be Mascot logos or whatever the case might be. Everything's used for different reasons. But that's all I have for today's tutorial. It's 1:13 a.m. By the time you guys are watching this, it's going to be hopefully Sunday afternoon. I'm going to be sitting in my room with my dog. I'm getting a little puppy basically later tonight. Well, I guess early in the morning. A couple hours I had to actually leave my house and drive. But that's going to be it for the tutorial. If you guys did like this, leave a thumbs up. And that's all I have for today. I hope you guys, like I said, enjoyed this. If you guys have any like tutorial suggestions or tips you guys want to see, let me know in the comment section below. I have a bunch of things, you know, being worked up, whether it be making money as a graphic designer and just getting clients, like better tips and stuff that I've, you know, learned over the years of doing this, and, you know, more updated videos that I've done in the past. So I hope to see you guys in my later on videos. You know, thank you for subscribing and always staying tuned to my channel. And it's been Garrett, guys. Peace out.